Hi, I'm Zach here with Glendora City News, and I want to do a video here with Erica Landmann, who's running for City Council in Glendora here in the upcoming March election. And we hiked up to the top of here so she could tell us about some of the things that are important to her, and from there I'll let her explain.
Can I just hold it?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Erica, and what I had asked was if Zach and his wonderful assistant would be able to hike up into the South Hills Wilderness Park, just so we could show a little bit, primarily what's behind me, and just so you have a general idea of what really interests me. I would be pretty much your environmental candidate. I'm really into the environment. I love hiking, in particular in South Hills Wilderness Park. And right behind me is Colorama's satellite yard. Colorama is a nursery. Their main headquarters is located in Azusa. And about 6 years ago now, they came up and rented or leased this area of land from the city. And it had been placed on the consent calendar. It was a very no red flags really were raised at the time, because it was just given as a Bonnie Cove address. And so nobody really knew, because as you can see, we're in the middle of a wilderness park and there's no address posted anywhere in this area, as well as the entrance. And so their contract's up for renewal in a few years, and I hope everybody's aware of it, and just some of the issues that the hikers face when the Colorama semi, as you can see, there's a delivery truck behind us, and that actually drives up and down the hiking trail. And it was a marked trail that said Bonnie Cove Trail. The trail post had been removed. And that was really unfortunate for all the hikers. But the primary thing is we are concerned for the safety of the people, as well as the Colorama employees who drive up on the hiking trail, which is just primarily a paved trail.
Now, you also mentioned there are some other developments that you take a great issue with. One is on Gladstone, and was it Bonnie Cove?
Yes.
Gladstone, Bonnie Cove. Why don't you tell us very briefly regarding that? And I know you went to City Hall regarding the building there, the development that was going to take place.
Yes. Okay, regarding the Bonnie Cove and Gladstone project, about 10 years ago now, my neighborhood and we fought the project because it was originally going to be a 48-foot tall building with the option to go 80. And my neighbors and we realized that's not something that belongs in our neighborhood. It's residential. There's Gladstone Park, there's a little preschool, and everything else is basically houses in this area. And what we decided to do was we went to the council. We thought when we went that the council would listen. Primarily that's really what we felt, that they wouldn't back an Arizona developer. And what we quickly learned was that they did, and they did everything possible to get that project through, even though all the residents came out and said, hey, we don't need it in our area. And then we actually had to go and get signatures. So we went and we did a petition, and in a period of 2 weeks and 3 weekends, basically, we went and we got 4,729 signatures. And people just around the city, all areas, they're all, this is not something that belongs in our neighborhood, not something that belongs in the city of Glendora. So we stopped that, came back in a different form. We ended up having to get an attorney. It was a long process, but finally, just in August, it was approved to be about 20 townhomes. So we're fine with that. That fits in the neighborhood. We're okay. But the whole time, people kept saying, you know, I don't know why you're bothering. You can't fight City Hall. And I know, you know, but we did fight City Hall. But the question is, why did we have to? Because the City Council is supposed to be listening. And I witnessed firsthand, you know, the act of not listening to the residents. And so I know what it's like to be ignored. And I know that I'll listen to people's concerns.
That. Would you say that you're okay with developing as long as it's on a smaller scale that kind of fits into the characteristics of Glendora?
Yeah, I'm all for development. 2 stories, fine. You know, we moved to Glendora, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the city moved to Glendora for the same reason, to have a view of the hillsides, to know that the hillsides will be protected from out of control development. Same with the buildings in town, that they're going to be on a small scale. They'll fit the small town feel of Glendora.
And now one other thing, you mentioned why people move to Glendora, and this will be the last thing that we discuss here today, but people move to Glendora also because of the school districts. Now, I know you're a teacher, I think right here at Charter Oak, Covina. Why don't you tell us just briefly about your background and how you got into teaching and why that's important to you?
Okay, my background is actually, I graduated from Glendora High School in 1992, go Tartans, and so went there, I went to St. Dorothy's even when we first came into town. Went to Sutherland 1 year, but I love learning things, and I love the act of getting people involved and knowledgeable on different topics. So I'm all for getting neighborhood involvement and people coming to council meetings, because when people come to council meetings, that means people are paying attention. I would be really upset if it was just tumbleweeds blowing through a council chambers. So, I really want the people involved. But I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and I got my teaching credential there in bachelor's and master's. I went also to University of Laverne, and I got my reading specialist credential. And during that time, I taught, after I got my credential, I went over Pasadena for a couple years, then I came to Covina. And so now I teach in Covina, actually, over at a middle school. And it's a fun experience. I even have an opportunity to be an adjunct professor over at University of Laverne teaching credential courses, which is awesome. I love all those students as well. So I really, my bottom line, my goal is to get people involved in the community, to go out and vote March 3rd, and to be actively involved, so we're all good citizens and giving our children examples of being an active citizen in the community.
Well, Erica, I can obviously see that you have a passion for some of these issues, which is terrific. Right or wrong, no matter whether you disagree with somebody or not, you have the passion, you have things that you care about, and that's really what City Council should be about, I think. So nobody could label you the typical politician. You brought us up here hiking. I appreciate it, even though it burned some calories for me. But I appreciate it, and it was very nice meeting you and getting to do this interview with you.
Thank you so much. Could I just share one other thing about one development that I just learned about? And I should have worked it in earlier. I'm so sorry. I just learned about a development that's scheduled to be up for discussion in April-ish, we'll say. And it's at the top of Lone Hill. They're talking about doing a 90% grade on 2 of the hills up in the foothills. Yes, and so they need the entrance, the egress to that Gordon Mole project. So that will be up in April. The area they're talking about destroying or removing for the entrance, as well as the entire project. It's a very environmentally sensitive location. They have cactus wrens that are living in the prickly pear, and so there's a huge prickly pear patch up there. There's the habitat for the gnat catchers, and so that's of concern. There's some gray foxes that have been spotted in the area, which is a native animal for this area, but a rare sighting. I actually spotted a couple up here a few years ago. That was awesome. Yeah, so I love watching for birds and everything. And there's a huge area, about 120 heritage trees that will be removed, oak, black walnuts, as well as the oak trees. So the people in the area were really upset. Just think of dominoes. When you play dominoes, you hit one domino and the next one goes down. That project gets through, the next person who owns the parcel next to it says, hey, I want to approve mine too. You approved that one. So we want to protect the hillsides. We want to protect the habitat for our future.
Very good to know.
Thanks.
And Erica, once again, thank you very much for coming out here, or I should say bringing me out here.
Thank you so much.
I'm Zach Bushy with Glendora City News, here with Erica Landmann running for City Council.